Nintendo is a very weird company. They stick to their laurels and they make some of the most backwards industry decisions in all of gaming. Sometimes they're just like, yeah, it's 2024 and we're shipping a console that's powered solely on a hand crank and it costs $5.99 a month on top of that to play 3 Game Boy Color games you've never heard of. It's a weird company. Regardless, amidst the wrath, in between the daily Twitter rabble, there are some very adroit decisions born of wacky, innovative design. I can't really defend a $500 video game pass to play a couple N64 games or games shipping with dial-up online play in 2022, but Nintendo has a knack for just slapping you in the face sometimes and wowing you. Like, oh, I guess I did want a large piece of white plastic that I can do yoga poses on. Sure. Their creative brilliance is born from this concept of unabashed wackiness. Sometimes a choice fails. In fact, Nintendo has had their fair share of failures, but here and there, a weird, unassuming idea breaks through to the masses. Meet the Nintendo Wii. The Nintendo Wii was like an alien. Nintendo's competitors Sony and Microsoft had just put out next-gen consoles, powerful machines capable of playing HD games. And then there was little Nintendo, putting out this gimmicky console at 480p in 2006. It didn't have powerful tech innards like its competitors. It couldn't play an HD Call of Duty at max settings, but what it did do was inspire. Everyone and their mom wanted this thing. Literally, everyone and your mom and your grandma wanted to play this. This was like the one futuristic thing your grandparents would actually try. For some reason, it just hit that exact thread of slightly futuristic to pique everyone's interest. A console where the remote was wireless and you could simulate motion with your hands. You could play sports, do yoga, ride down a hill on a skateboard. The console's oddball nature was its strong suit, and for some reason, it just inspired everyone. This was exemplified by the massive sales this thing had. It's almost ridiculous to look at. Today, the Nintendo Wii has sold over 101 million units, making it Nintendo's best home console ever behind the Nintendo Switch, and the 7th best-selling console of all time, including handhelds. This thing was a behemoth. When all was said and done, it sold 14 million more units than the PS3, and 17 million more units than the Xbox 360. An inferior console technologically usurped the console market because it had fucking Wii Sports. Your grandma could play baseball! Your mom could pretend she was losing calories on the Wii balance board. And obviously, as a kid, you could play cool games like the new Smash Brothers. It was a massive success. One could say it was a revolution.
We gave you DS, a new Game Boy, and new games to play on them. And now you say you want a revolution. Well, we've got one.
For me, the Nintendo Wii is very nostalgic because I can still remember that Christmas that I got the Wii, like a vivid fever dream. The Wii hype was extremely palpable at the time, in fact, so much so that I sort of expected not to even get it the Christmas that it came out. Getting one felt impossible because there were reports of extreme shortages because people were just buying them as soon as they got stocked. Luckily for me, my dad is a hero and camped outside Target on release day to get us one for Christmas. When I saw that thing, it was essentially the biggest dopamine release I've ever had in my life. In fact, we could really say it's all been downhill from there. My entire life, I've been searching for that high I felt when the Nintendo Wii logo popped through the scraped open gift wrap, and I'll never reach that high again. As a kid, it certainly did feel like the future. I think the first games we got were Wii Sports, which was a pack-in title, and then Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam or something. But funnily enough, I think we probably spent the most amount of time just checking out the channels, making Mii's in the Mii Maker, voting for polls in the Everybody Votes channel, checking out the fucking weather forecast. It didn't matter what random channel that we had, we were using it, just in awe at the tiny white rectangle and its blue emitted light. Unfortunately, none of those channels really work anymore, so it's probably hard to understand the nostalgia a lot of us Wii kids had. In fact, even the music alone is enough to send us to therapy. Some of the original Wii prototypes still had that corded controller. In fact, they even used a GameCube essentially. The Wii was really just a souped up GameCube. It had a little bit of a faster CPU and a little more RAM, but not much more really. They both ran on the same resolution, but the Wii had a weirder controller. Essentially like a TV remote, the Wii remote is constantly sending signals to the Wii console of its position and button presses via Bluetooth. This allowed for the user to really feel like they were in control, and it didn't require your grandma to learn how to use a video game controller. So it avoided the 30 minutes of asking, what does this button do again? You just pointed and clicked for the most part. It was simple and easy to pick up. The motion allowed for you to do some pretty cool things too, like swing a baseball bat by literally swinging the Wii remote or pointing the Wii remote at the screen to pop balloons or something. This wasn't really revolutionary technology, but it felt like it. So much so that all of Nintendo's competitors tried to copy stuff like this for years. Remember Xbox Connect or PlayStation Move? Yeah, everyone wanted this. To me, the games are sort of a hit or miss, but it did have a ton of games. 1,595 to be exact, but a lot of them were shovelware. The kind of stuff you'd see in a bin at a Best Buy clearance section. I'm sure there's some hidden gems in there, but I just gotta be honest, I'm not too jazzed about My Horse and Me. Every game company in the world was pushing out software for this thing though, and honestly, when I look back at what games I enjoyed the most on the Wii, it was mostly just games ported over from the N64 on the Wii Shop, or like Wii Sports. There were a couple really hype games at the time though. To me, as a kid, Super Smash Bros. Brawl was beyond hype. It was back then where social media hadn't infected every area of the internet yet, so Nintendo would manually update the HTML on their website to show new characters or stages or items ever so often. SmashBros.com. As of this video, you can actually still go to the website and see how it looked. It's a complete blast from the past for me. I'd refresh this shit every day after school, just waiting for a new character. Smash Bros. Brawl was really cool too, because it had a story mode. It really felt like a unique Smash game, and I think it's a little underrated, mostly because it never had great competitive play, but the character roster was so much bigger than Melee, and the graphics looked all dark, depressing, and realistic. It was a really interesting direction, and I was beyond hyped for it back then. Regardless, there were some other pretty rad Wii titles as well. It had a lot of crap. I mean, there's 1,500 plus games, but there were a lot of cool first-party titles. Obviously, you had Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort, which are beyond nostalgic to a lot of us. It's really ridiculous that Wii Sports Bowling is that fun. It's so simple, but you just want to keep playing it. Wii Sports Resort was a game I didn't check out until a lot later, but this, alongside the Wii Motion Plus controllers they eventually added, inserted a lot of fun into the Wii Sports series. You could play basketball and do archery, throw a frisbee to a virtual dog because your parents wouldn't buy you a real one. A lot of people really love Super Mario Galaxy, a really beautiful new 3D Mario for the Wii. I still think Mario Kart Wii was really fun. I mean, you can't hate Coconut Mall. Plus, you got to pull out that dumb plastic Wii wheel and pretend you were actually driving a car. And you could play as Funky Kong. Bring back Funky Kong, you swines. Not to mention they made like 1 million games with Wii as the prefix. Wii Play, Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Wii Party, Wii Music, Wii Sex, Wii. Just Dance games were really huge too. There were new Mario Party games that kind of sucked, but that's cool. Donkey Kong games, Zelda games, Super Paper Mario, Boom Blocks, WarioWare, Pokemon Battle Revolution, Jillian Michaels Fitness Ultimatum 2009, Calvin Tucker's Redneck Jamboree. A lot of the Wii's success can also probably be attributed to the marketing and press.
We would like to play. We would like to play.
Wii commercials weren't just about kids sitting on the couch and screaming at the screen. It showed the whole family interacting with it. It just looked fun to get your whole family in the room and play a Wii game. Everyone wanted a piece of that pie. Not to mention, at the time, you had the greatest spokesman of all time showing off your console at major events.
Do a what we call a body check on somebody. So today, I think we'll do it with Reggie.
My body is ready.
Now I know many of you today walked in with numbers already swimming in your head. 360, 16 by 9, 1080, 8.2 gigahertz. Well, we'd like to add one more number to the mix, and that number is 2.
I'm going to be able to come back up next time and kick your ass.
And the Wii was also marketed as this backwards compatible machine, which in a lot of ways you have to respect. This allowed the player to not only play last generation games from the GameCube on the Wii, but also a huge library of virtual games one could purchase on the Wii Shop, from N64 all the way back to NES. This allowed a whole new generation of players to experience the games of old. Honestly, a lot of my time on the Wii was spent playing those games too. I played a ton of Super Mario Bros. 3, Kirby's Adventure, which is probably my favorite platformer, Mario Kart 64, you name it. Without the Wii, I probably never would have experienced any of these games, since I'm a stinky zoomer who grew up in the computer age. What the hell is an Atari? The Wii was a very successful machine because of its unorthodox entry into the market. It didn't have a standard controller, you flung a remote around. You didn't play Call of Duty on it, you played Wii Tennis for the 49th time that week. It was weird, but that's why it did so well. It struck everyone's heartstrings in a way most video games and video game consoles aren't able to do. It just felt so futuristic for the time. Since the Wii, Nintendo has really milked this idea of being weird and wacky. The Wii U was just a weirder Wii, and it didn't do so hot if we're being honest, but the newer Nintendo Switch actually surpassed the Wii in sales recently. Nintendo may make some really dumb decisions sometimes, but you have to respect the tenacity, even if they are stuck in their ways. But the Nintendo Wii broke the standard and changed video game history forever. Also, tangentially, if you play Meta Knight in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, eat a dick.